actually want to go over to Amy Bonner. Oh, Bonner, sorry. I am sorry about that. Oh, dear God. Listen, who else read the name fast and thought it was Bonner, all right? There's an extra N in there. You're not offended, are you?
Absolutely not.
All right, so first of all, no, there's a couple different people that are coming forward with you. And who's this next to you?
This is my sister.
Oh, your sister.
And my daughter.
How are you?
We're good.
All right, so first of all, so would that be your dad that passed?
Yes.
Because your dad kept saying to me, my daughter wanted to speak to me. My daughter wanted to speak to me.
She did.
So know that this is your dad's way of acknowledging that he's here and that he is stepping forward with you to let you know that he is here and with you. And your dad has such a personality on the other side when I'm connecting with him, because he's coming through to me and he's got no shirt on the other side when I'm connecting with him. Like this man like never wore his shirt and he's like scratching his man titties when I'm connecting with him. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And your father says to me that, first of all, he goes, listen, let my family know. He goes, I didn't believe in heaven. He goes, but I made it here. He goes, it's real. He goes, I'm here. And he's acknowledging that. He goes, because he was so afraid to pass here in this world. He goes, I didn't know if I was going to live. He goes, I didn't know if I was going to die. He goes, the one thing I didn't think was ever possible, he goes, was me going to heaven. And he's acknowledging that. He says, because I just didn't believe in it. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And your father is telling me when I'm connecting with him that he is so happy to be able to step forward and to speak to you in this way. You know, no matter what went on within his body, your dad is showing me that he still tried to go and to live his life. Because when I'm connecting with him, he's immediately showing me that he lost the use of his legs here in this world.
Yes.
And your father tells me that that was the hardest thing that he had to go through. Because he says to me, I didn't want to end up in the wheelchair. I didn't want to end up in the wheelchair. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And your father's actually showing me like him taking his legs and he's hitting his legs to me. He goes, he was trying to feel things because he lost all feelings within his legs. And
he was a double amputee.
That would be why. Your dad was telling me, you know, in the beginning, he goes, I was so afraid of losing my legs. He says, and all of a sudden, he goes, the worst thing happened to me. He goes, all of a sudden, he goes, my legs were lost. He goes, I couldn't function anymore. And then all of a sudden, all of these things started to go wrong within his body because he's acknowledging that. Your dad says to me that he wants you to know in heaven, he's got his legs back. He says, so not only did I discover it was real, he says, but I discovered that I can walk, I can move, and that I am still the same person. And your father goes to me, he goes, listen, he goes, thank God, he goes, I'm different. He goes, because when I was here, he goes, I was falling apart at the seams. Because he also tells me he had teeth issues and he lost his teeth here in this world.
Yes.
Because he's saying to me, look at my mouth, look at my mouth. And your dad's smiling to me. And he's saying, I got all my teeth back on the other side. He wants to thank you all for the way that you always kept him so entertained here in this world. He's also thanking you for buying him the overstuffed chair, because he's talking about the overstuffed chair that he had. Yes. And he loved this chair. It was like his favorite gift from all of you. And let me tell you something. Your father, he was a little demanding here in this world. Because when I'm connected with him, he shows me him being in the chair, and the next thing you know, he asked you for a different TV. You had to move the TV in for him, he's telling me. Your dad's telling me that the TV was moved from the bedroom. You had to move the TV from the bedroom.
To the bathroom?
I don't know. He's talking about TV moving from the bedroom.
To the bathroom.
What do you mean a TV was moved to the bathroom?
He was always in the bathroom.
You moved the bedroom TV to the bathroom?
Yes.
So what, he could be on the toilet and watch the TV?
Yes.
Oh my God. Because your father saying to me, he goes, you know, he goes, I knew I was passing. And I got to tell you, your dad says to me, I was sick. He says, but I also milked it for all it was worth. He goes, I made them move the TV set. He goes, I made them move me in my chair. He goes, I made them get me different clothes. He says, I got whatever I wanted, he's telling me. And your father says to me, I never really felt sick. He says, you all were more nervous than I was. And he's bringing that through. He says, I never felt sick. He says, the day of my life, yeah, things would happen. He goes, yeah, I lost my legs. He says, but I got to spend time with all of you. He says, and you took such great care of me. And he's acknowledging that. He's telling me that George is there with him.
Uncle George.
Who is that?
That's my uncle.
So know that it's his way of acknowledging that George is there and with him on the other side. Because he's saying, look at George is here, George is here. He goes, and can you believe he's still smoking? He's like, he's smoking up a storm when I'm connecting with them. He goes, all I keep smelling is the smoke when your dad's coming through. And he's letting you know that, you know, he is with George on the other side, and that your dad wants to let you know that they're back to being how they were here in this world. He shows me at the table and them playing cards with one another here in this world. And your dad also used to like to place bets. I don't know if this was like poker or whatever, but he showed me like betting when I'm connecting with him. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And she says to me, listen, I want you to know that as hard as it was within life here in this world, he says, I hung on for all of you. He says, I hung on and I hung on and I hung on. He says, because I loved and I enjoyed my life so, so much. Your dad says to me, he wants to thank all of you for how much that you loved him and how much that you cared for him every single day. And wait a minute, you're going to think I'm absolutely crazy. Did your dad get sprayed by a skunk?
Yeah.
What's he talking about, being sprayed by a skunk? He's saying to me, can you believe this? And he talks about like how he goes, why? He goes, Matt, he goes, you don't understand. He goes, my life was like Grand Central Station. He says, even though I couldn't walk, he goes, even though I was in the wheelchair, even though I had health issues my entire life, he goes, my life was like a circus. He goes, there was never a dull moment. And then he showed me the skunk raising its tail and your father getting doused by a skunk and you try to give him a tomato bath.
Oh my God, yes.
What the hell is that?
It takes away the skunk smell.
No, but why did your father get sprayed in the first place?
It was very animal friendly.
So he tried to feed the skunk?
Yeah, probably.
So no, it's his way of acknowledging that. So, you know, what's so crazy right now, can you hear my cat yelling in the background?
Faintly.
Okay, that's because your father's here screwing with my cat, by the way, because he must have loved the animals. I'm like, buddy, what are you trying to get sprayed again over here? He's over here playing with the cat, because your loved ones, not only do they visit you, but they're also here with me as well. And your father's over here. He thinks this is so cool that he can connect with like this, and he thinks this is so funny. It's okay, you can let it go. They're trying to calm down the cat, but it's because your father's here, because animals can sense and feel spirit too. You know that one of the things that your dad is acknowledging is he wants you to know that life was never a dull moment. He says, I enjoyed so many memories with you here in this world. He says, I'm getting sprayed by a skunk. He says, to trying to escape from the hospital, because your dad tells me he tried to escape many times when he was in the hospital. He didn't like to be in the hospital.
A lot.
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He says, but I want to let you know that what is so important is that we never forgot about one another. And I never forgot about you. And your dad's making me laugh. I love this man when I'm connected with him. I love it when souls have a personality. And your dad is so different than other souls that I'm talking to, because he's over here and now like he's so funny to watch. I think he's so entertaining. He's over there and he's got what's it called? A can in front of me, and your dad's eating spam. He's eating spam on the other side, like not the male spam, the canned spam.
Yeah, he likes spam.
What was with like the spam and the sardines and shit? Because he's over there and he's like, and like here you are, you're all making these meals, and your father's like, let him know in heaven they still got the brand products. And he's eating, he's got the can open, he's watching TV, he's eating the spam on the other side. He says, you need to let my daughters know. He says that I haven't changed one bit.
That's good.
He says, so know that I want to thank you for the way that you loved me. He says, for the way that you watched over me. He says, and for making my life so great. But more importantly, he says, for loving and accepting me for who I was. And for putting up with all of my illnesses, for putting up with my mood swings, for putting up with my temper, he says, and sometimes my anxiety. He says, but he's letting you know that you've been feeling a soul in your house with you.
Yes.
That's your father. Your house isn't haunted. Because your dad has been trying to reach you every which way. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. Your dad tells me that you took a picture and you saw orbs in the picture.
Yes.
That was your father.
Wow.
Oh my God, it was him.
Because your father shows me you taking a picture and then you saw the orbs that appeared and you're like, what the hell is this? What is this in the picture? That was your father with you at that day.
Wow.
No, it's your dad's way of acknowledging that he was there in that picture with you. Because sometimes what happens, right, is that when we take a picture and you see orbs and you see distortions in the pictures, that really you can capture your loved one going by. You can capture their energy. So know that when you saw that, when that photo developed and there was weird things that occurred, that was your dad showing you that he was there and with you.
That's awesome.
If you can't find it, that's okay. You can put it on my Facebook or put it on Twitter. Text it, tweet it, twat it, however you get it. I will, however you get it to me, I'll find it.
It's water.
He said twatter.
Your father said twatter? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
What the hell kind of people are you? Your father's saying twatter, your last name's Bona. What? Were there any questions that you had for me today?
No,
No.
I just wanted to talk to him.
I'm so glad that he came through for you today. I'm so glad that I was able to deliver you this message. And I really hoped that this helped you.
Absolutely.
Don't stress another day wondering if he's at peace. This is his way of showing you that he is by your side. And I just saw him lean over and kiss every single one of you. So it's his way of letting you know that he is truly and forever with you and watching over you, all right?
Yes.
I'm going to leave you with that.
Thank you
so much.
You're very welcome.